inspirational, visionary, and yes, ruthless. Much has been said and written about Microtech's founder, Magnus Tobin, who was the driving force behind the Empire's most essential piece of wearable tech, the Moby Glass. Broadly perceived as a reclusive tech genius, Magnus's fascinating life defies such easy categorizations. Magnus Tobin was born on Earth in 2756. His parents devoted their time to running a prosperous textile manufacturing business and left the rearing of their three sons, Fakiri, Magnus, and Cameron, to au pair. Magnus's eldest brother, Fakiri, was a formidable influence who taught him how to hack high-end electronics. Magnus's technological obsession led to his elite private high school expelling him for poor grades and attendance. Instead of enrolling in a new school, Magnus convinced his parents to let him work full-time for the family business while studying for the equivalency. Free from school, Magnus passed his equivalency with extraordinary pace after bypassing the daily lesson limits and creating his own algorithm to analyze trends in past exams. Meanwhile, Magnus spent his days working in the information technology department of his family's company. He learned all he could about its operations before presenting his parents with a comprehensive plan to overhaul and update its technical infrastructure. Impressed with his vision, his parents signed off on a plan and assigned Alina Tressler, a trusted senior advisor, to officially oversee it. The project improved efficiency and generated massive profits for the company. Magnus became the heir apparent to the family business, but shocked his parents by rejecting the role. Instead, he convinced them to fund a small technology startup that sold a modified version of his business software. Microtech officially incorporated in 2782, but struggled to turn a profit. Eventually, he asked his former mentor, Alina Tressler, to join the company and offered her a percentage of the profits for the take. Her extensive list of contacts and cutthroat business acumen brought the growing Microtech more orders for custom software than they could handle, an enviable position to be in as the overthrow of the Messer regime in 2792 sent shockwaves through the Empire's economy. Magnus felt fortunate that Microtech survived the economic upheaval of the time, but Elena argued that the company could only succeed long-term if it diversified. Magnus went on a hiring spree, courting numerous notable engineers and developers by guaranteeing them autonomy over their projects. He also believed that the next great idea could come from anyone within the company. He organized hackathons to identify new talent and kept 1 week clear in his schedule every quarter so anyone in the company could pitch their idea to him. Even today, Microtech remains renowned for nurturing and developing good ideas from any of its employees. Meanwhile, Elena led an initiative to buy struggling businesses with intriguing intellectual property. Industry observers deemed their combined spending as reckless, but the talent and technology Microtech acquired eventually led to many of their signature products. The only company Magnus insisted on purchasing himself was the Empiric Education. An intense bidding war soured Elena on the company, but it became their most important purchase. Microtech now owned a major producer of education software, and Magnus had big plans for it. After the purchase of Empiric Education, Magnus revealed an upgrade that significantly streamlined the code and enhanced security. He had been developing it since hacking his own equivalency prep in his youth, but knew he needed to own the underlying code to monetize it. Beyond the surface-level improvements, he also included additional background software meant to securely manage every detail of a student's life to increase their productivity. Elena noticed that the early adopters used this software's features well beyond studying and saw some promise in it. She encouraged Magnus to develop it as standalone software. The initial Glass software was a hit and quickly became one of the top productivity softwares on the market. However, to fully and comfortably utilize all the features, users needed to bounce between their datapads and wearable comps, often necessitating carrying both of them at the same time. Year after year, Magnus and his team tried to improve the existing available interface, but the most popular devices at the time were limited by their screen size, and anything larger might as well have been a datapad. The breakthrough came when Magnus climbed into a SIM pod, only for it to malfunction and project a small screen in front of his face. Now he knew what he had to do: call his siblings. Magnus first contacted Cameron, his younger brother and current CEO of the family business, and worked with him on designing and sourcing the right materials for a wrist-wearable device. If Glass was really going to succeed, Magnus knew that Microtech was going to have to begin building their own hardware, with Glass transitioning into a full-blown operating system. Meanwhile, he hired his older brother, Fakiri, to try and hack his software, trusting no one but him to test its security. Elena believed this all to be out of family loyalty, but later claimed that Magnus confided in her Fakiri's extensive credentials, including playing an instrumental role in the hack that broadcasted shocking images of the massacre of Garan to their system and helped topple the messers. Simply, Magnus understood the importance of security on a device meant to manage someone's entire life. The wearables market was saturated with products plagued by security concerns. Following the fall of the messers, it was revealed that wearable manufacturers were forced to build backdoors into their devices so the government could access the networks. Even years later, this drove some consumers to not use wearables due to ethical concerns, while others questioned whether these backdoors were ever closed. Magnus hammered home this point in the MobiGlass's first ad campaign, which featured a pixelated figure hacking every wearable on the market, only to be stifled by the MobiGlass. The effective ad, combined with the device's intuitive interface and competitive price point, made the MobiGlass an instant success upon release in 2018. Its popularity only increased over the years, until it became the ubiquitous wearable worn across the empire today. Elena retired after a successful MobiGlass release, but Magnus continued to employ her aggressive business strategies, sometimes in ways that observers deemed dangerous or unethical. He poured profits into developing a wide range of new devices, including a revolutionary new SIM pod design and a line of chip computers. He even brought massive swaths of cheap real estate in extremely cold biomes across the empire to park the ever-growing army of Microtech servers. When Microtech quietly began selling this land, industry observers believed it signaled a corporate shift away from server management. Instead, Magnus used the capital for his biggest and boldest deal to date, the purchase of Stanton 4. Magnus officially retired following Microtech's purchase of Stanton 4, but to the dismay of some, remained deeply involved in the company's operations. He oversaw the design and construction of New Babbage, Microtech's primary landing zone, and was even given veto power over any new device or corporate initiative that he believed didn't align with the company's core values. After decades of being hailed as a visionary, his increased stranglehold on the company was beginning to tarnish his image. A series of high-level leaks revealed just how unhappy employees were with his continued involvement, and that several key decisions he had recently made cost the company millions of UEC. In response, Magnus sent a media blitz across the spectrum to help fix his image, and even hired a ghostwriter to pen a fawning autobiography. The campaign painted Magnus as a tech-focused force within the company that existed above the questionable business practice. These initiatives led to the sterile image of him as a reclusive tech genius that persists to this day. When Magnus Tobin died in 2912, people hailed him as one of the most important figures of the 29th century. Despite his undeniable influence on technology, his greatest achievement may be creating a company that has thrived without him. Microtech's ownership of a planet, ever-expanding product line, and constant quality of life updates to the Moby-Glass platform has made the company well-positioned to be just as influential in the next century as it was in the last. That was Portfolio Microtech. Originally in Jump Point 7.11, so it's a bit old. Was released in Comlink just in January 6th of 2021. Kind of going through the back catalog, having some fun. Curated this one because of IAE taking place this year on Microtech, which is now public knowledge thanks to the PTU. And really great stuff shaping up there. Expect some content coming soon from that area. Now that it's, I enjoy my place on Wave 1 PTU. And right now, I believe the PTU is open to everybody. So everybody can get over there and check out the lobby, check out some cool fun stuff, and catch up with some friends and test the system. Be sure to report crashes if you have any. As we remember IAE, we think of Microtech, and I think of the planetary landing location on Microtech, New Babbage, is a wonderful place for ground vehicles as well as craft. You can land your spacecraft pretty much anywhere you want that's near a spawning location of ground vehicles, at the commons or at the spaceport lower parts, and you can catch up with each other. If you don't know where they're at, remember you can always have a friend or an org mate go down to that location, join your party, and then bam, you have that beacon so you can get an idea of how the place is laid out. But New Babbage is a wonderful place to learn about. And the company Microtech, back to the lore, is really a one-off. I mean, there's nothing quite like Microtech. You know, they're the genius tech company of the world, of the verse. And we can hear in this video that part of the reason we think of them as that is because of the Magnus Tobin's efforts towards the end of his time. Just completely off topic, but this reminds me a lot of the late parts of Walt Disney's life. I was just watching the Defunctland video about Epcot and how Epcot was supposed to be a city, and it was supposed to have like people living there, people working, all these companies involved, as well as the normal stuff that we expect at Disney, theme park to help finance the location and have tourism. That was just part of it. Like, there was going to be whole parks, hospitals, recreation facilities, everything you can imagine. You needed fire stations, the whole 9 yards. And what's interesting about Magnus Tobin is it kind of feels like that to me. He's trying to build his own little Tomorrowland, but instead of a place that occasionally has a hurricane and the rest of the year it's just plain beautiful temperate climate, he built it in a wasteland that you can't stay outside too long about, and there's constant snowstorms. So yes, the technology obviously in the future of this world that we're talking about in Star Citizen is far better than ours in modern day, but I can't help but see parallels here of the vision of a single founder and all the people who work behind the scenes, you know, in this story and in the real world story I just brought up, that truly try to make things happen the way that their visionary founder wants. Elena comes to mind in this story, and Walt's inner circle come to mind in the other story, in real life. And no, I have nothing to do with that channel. I just thought it was interesting that unintentionally I kind of had a parallel created just by something that I was checking out just recently. Okay, so that'll do it for this video. I hope you really enjoy these lore videos. Please keep the comments coming. If you do see anything that could be updated, or maybe certain companies or backgrounds you're looking for, remember that these lore posts are created by CIG. So they are their text and they do some wonderful work, as is the artwork that you see in the video. However, there is quite a back catalog that I can start digging through. So for example, right on my tabs menu right now, Geisen Inc., who makes EVA suits,
the Gemini company, who makes different types of FPS weapons, Caldera, who makes the environmental suits. They're all up on my list, but they are rather short videos if I was to create them into a video. So I'd probably do a selection of 2 or 3 of them into one. If that sounds like something you're interested in and certain topics are interesting you, please put it down below in the comments or reach out to me on Discord if you want to talk alone. RedJ, hashtag 0001. Also, to anybody starting out videos, this seems to be a trend when there's a new event or a in-game event of some sort. It gets people interested in making content. I talk with a lot of folks who are interested in making videos. If you're looking for a collab, I'm always here. So I'd like to try to foster more folks that are interested in making their content and finding their voice in Star Citizen. And if you just want to fly around and shoot stuff or check out some new content or check out some new videos, I also do that. But just a warning, I do give you a heads up if I'm going to try to record a little bit of it for YouTube. And some of it does make it there, some of it doesn't. So either way, just be aware of that if you ever are flying with me. And I will warn you, obviously. I don't just randomly do stuff. But that's all I got for now. And yeah, wish you all a great night and fly safe.